Hello, my name is Todd Gardner from Berklee College of Music. I'm an associate professor and I teach subjects such as taxation, accounting, business startups, and a startup lab. As music educators, we teach a variety of subjects related to music in the entertainment industry. Just a small sample of subjects from the last few years of the Media Journal shows subjects in the area of mechanical licensing, selling songs, tech disruption, production practices, branding, and recent entries related to COVID in the resilience of live music and whether you should cancel, postpone, or delay when it comes to ticket refunds. The range of subject matters is vast. Moreover, when it comes to the ability to teach and explain all of these subjects to eager minds, there's no one-size-fits-all recipe. It's really up to you, the educator. We all come from different backgrounds and our teaching environments have their limitations. However, we can provide an appropriately loose framework within what is known as design thinking, a roadmap for better educational outcomes and experiences. The purpose of my discussion today is to make educators aware of design thinking and its potential use in music and music-related classrooms. Design thinking is usually referred to as having 5 components: empathy, defining, ideating, prototyping, and testing. Although design thinking is being used in academic institutions such as Stanford, MIT, Harvard, and Yale, it still needs to be further adapted and applied in music and arts institutions. Design thinking is a human-centered design process that enables students to understand better their targets' emotional needs, whose issues or opportunities they are attempting to help or resolve. This could be in the form of a music composition, a music therapy app, a concert tour, a music-related device, or any music or arts-related business or venture. Much of design thinking is conducted through interviews and interactions with potential communities and audiences. It also involves creating prototypes and testing ideas with your targeted community until you get a better iteration. Design thinking can be used with music students to show them how to innovate and collaborate. By identifying and discussing these 5 stages of design thinking, music business educators will produce valuable student-driven results that carry through not only the educational stages of a student's life, but well beyond into careers and businesses that they will eventually own and manage. I will quickly walk you through the design thinking framework's 5 steps, which will provide a roadmap for design challenges large and small in your schools and classrooms. The core of the design thinking approach focuses on empathy, or the use of a beginner's mindset and immersing yourself in the user's experience to uncover deep needs and insights. Secondly, defining the problem with a point of view is also a crucial part of the process. Who is your user, your stakeholder? Is it a student, faculty member, outside business, consumer, fan, etc.? You want to get to know them with as many specific details as possible. What is their deep unmet need? Why is this insightful? What insights did you get from your empathetic finding process? Often reframing the problem using a unique point of view will lead to more innovative and more solution spaces. The design thinking process goes through a cycle of expanding and selective focusing. In the definition phase, we narrowed it down to a specific point of view. Now we will expand it out and generate more ideas as much as possible in the ideation phase, the 3rd phase. For many beginners, prototyping, the 4th phase, is where the fun begins. Sometimes the key to good empathy is sharing or co-creating a prototype with your users and getting feedback. Prototyping helps us learn, solve disagreements, and test hypotheses quickly and with minimal repercussions. Wireframing, creating web pages, creating floor plans, drawing pictures, and role-playing are all useful in this phase. We also test, the final phase. By testing our prototypes with real users and getting feedback, we can refine our point of view, learn more about our users, and make the next iteration of the product that much better. As they say at Stanford's D School, prototype as if you know you are right, but test as you know you are wrong. These steps should be considered a way to get started with design thinking. Over time, you will adapt them to your working style and make them your own. With this flexible roadmap, you will be prepared to tackle any project, whether it's a new app or a new composition. If you want to start this type of system in your school, there are essential areas to consider. They can work in many different combinations to make something uniquely suited to feed your students' creative needs and fit within the context of your particular institution. According to the famed Stanford D School, there are essential ingredients that you need to consider to get started on this new design thinking environment. They name 10 that are essential. Number 1, you need to be especially student-centered. Being student-centered is one of the most critical aspects of your class. Ask every one of your students, why are you here? This should be done to clearly understand that they are an integral part of the classroom experience. After every class session, have a debrief. Sit with the students and discuss what they liked, what they disliked, and how the class could be improved. You can also absorb all the feedback and tailor the next class meeting accordingly. You will find that students are not necessarily used to being immediately critical, and some will be surprised to how much their perspective matters. They expected to feel distance from the faculty, to hold them at a certain place of honor and inaccessible. But for this to work, you have to be both present and vulnerable. Number 2, embrace clashing perspectives. Encountering and encouraging different perspectives is one key to unlocking your students' creativity. You can also try to bring as many different disciplines and backgrounds to your classes. This will create a community that will be challenged but will also learn from each other. This can even involve having faculty have different opinions who don't always see things the same way. Students then realize that design projects do not have an obvious or single correct answer. Students often do not realize their biases until they witness how other students' working styles contrast with their own. By having different backgrounds, disciplines, and fields meeting together, students become more enthusiastic as they begin to collaborate. Number 3, allow and show unfinished work. It is essential to show unfinished work. This includes what the students are working on, but it also includes how the class is run, class projects, the calendar, and the space itself. Use all the walls. Put desks on wheels. Use cards and Post-its and put them on walls. Make everything visible. All the prototypes and all the sketches. Every surface becomes a work surface. This hyper-visibility can be messy and frustrating at times, but it helps expose everyone's work and allows ideas to flow freely. No one should hide their work, as it is all a work in progress, always. Number 4, focus on how and not the what. Focus on the how and not the what. Emphasize process over content. How students are working is more important than what they are producing. In many ways, the focus should be on the behavior of the students. In reality, you are teaching them how to work with other people through the use of empathy. Placing design strategies in the foreground is the key to offering classes that transcend disciplines, because design becomes the standard vocabulary for all the students and their teams. By anchoring classes in a standard methodology rather than a specific content area, your classes should become an intersection for creative work where anyone can find a home. Number 5, seek out fresh minds. Do not be afraid to let your students become teachers and mentors to other students. You are a seasoned faculty and you can be by their side, but you will soon find out that they have empathy for their fellow students like no one else. By entrusting your students with increasingly complex tasks and allowing them to be, or guiding them as they rehearse the potential actions they might take, they begin to develop the necessary skills to be effective leaders and effective creative problem solvers. Traditional forms of education have not done a very good job at helping students develop creative confidence. In fact, you could argue that many do the opposite. What your job is to do is to help the young students find their agency and figure out that the challenge in front of them is the one that they can handle through creative confidence. Number 6, allow people to opt in. Allow students to attach and surround an idea as opposed to assigning teams. You want people that are genuinely excited about the idea. It is also helpful if you have teachers teach within their interest. This may be different from their professional expertise. For instance, a technology expert might also be an excellent storyteller that could teach creative writing. It is better to have an eclectic group of people with diverse interests than those that are from the same backgrounds. Number 7, build in room for change. Space can shape behavior. When it comes to inspiring creativity, a student's relationship to their environment is key. Encourage the students to move around, try new things, have them use the space as a tool to accelerate their work. In one of my rooms, they get used that gets used more for a formal and traditional class. I have a locker full of all sorts of materials for prototyping: paper, glue, foil, pipe cleaners, wire, strings, toothpicks, plastic, hot glue guns, etc. We move the furniture and tables around. We sit on the floor at times. It is best if you have everything on wheels. Space should promote creativity rather than limit it. And space should be malleable. It is there to accommodate the work, not the other way around. Number 8, remember learning is a designed activity. What you are really doing is modeling innovation. That may include altering the space year to year to develop some best practices for student support. It includes framing design challenges for the students to which you may not even know the answer. However, you and they have the creative confidence to figure it out. It means teaching less and allowing students to struggle more. Further, it includes creating an organization that prizes learning as much as output. Remind yourselves, the innovator comes before the innovation. Sometimes you have to take time to design many of the sessions of every class down to the minute. Putting a time constraint on activities, however, promotes creative thinking. It can be demanding and time-consuming work, but the payoff comes when the students report back that the impact of their learning experience has been exceptional in shaping their trajectory and giving them skills and confidence to practice their creative abilities once the course is over. Number 9, find a balance between chaos and control. One of the founders of design thinking, David Kelly, often points to intentionality as a sound designer's vital trait. At first glance, walking into a class based upon design thinking might feel like you're walking through a mass of confusing, overlapping activities. And some days the environment reaches to a level of chaos that feels a bit overwhelming. However, on a closer look, you will see that the intent drives many details, both on a physical level and how programs or classes are designed and coexist. Sometimes the intention results in trade-offs. You embrace a little mess rather than stifle students by sending a message that the space is too precious to make a mistake. It can be hard to navigate for first-time visitors or first-time triers, but space is constantly changing. However, these choices are not by accident. You are honoring experimentation and creativity and setting the conditions necessary for students to strive for high levels of excellence while also trying, failing, and iterating. Number 10, pay close attention to team dynamics. Bring students together as you would your own toolbox at home based on the idea or the opportunity. You use different tools to tackle different ideas or problems that are usually complex, open-ended problems with an unfamiliar context. Allow your students the opportunity to learn how to collaborate across various disciplines and perspectives. This toolbox approach should also apply to faculty and staff. Whether students or faculty, your teams will make choices that will often seem contrary to traditional academic cultures. Moreover, these choices will also create possible friction. Even the idea of having extremely senior faculty and students working on a design question seems a bit radical, and it's not always easy. However, you will join a creative group of innovators, each with their own unique ideas, opinions, and convictions. And while each person's perspective is valid, they were not always aligned. In the beginning, there will be occasional arguments, interpersonal struggles, and plenty of false starts. However, even the friction becomes the fuel for great, important ideas, classes, and programs. When there are bumps in the road, it's almost always because someone on the team is fighting for something that they believe in.